I'm still a little hungry, to be honest. So this is
I
perfect.
made 3 of these things. I don't know if you only made 1.
Oh no, Kellen's churning them out.
Yeah,
But
you could make a ton of them. Yeah.
we'll get into it. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, welcome to Snackdown. I'm Justin, and this is
Andy.
And it is getting warmer outside. That's exciting.
Finally, yeah. It's I had to put sunscreen on today, which is pretty neat.
So I was out the other day, and I came home and I was rubbing my neck, and it felt like a razor burn on my neck. And I'm like,
Yeah.
did I ever cut myself? That's weird. And then I was like, oh, it's sunburn. Then I looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like burnt all over.
Well,
Like, oh,
it's
the first summer burn.
Well, it's not like super healthy for you. It's like
Yeah.
a good telling the spring and summer are alive. you know?
Yeah, I didn't even expect it at all.
Yeah.
And then I was just red. My face was red, my arms, my neck. I'm like, huh, interesting.
Nice. Our pale sun naive skin just can't handle it.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this episode, and thank you very much for spearheading it, if you will.
Yeah, it was a kind of a last-minute decision, but I think it's actually going to turn out to be kind of interesting and cool. So we were kind of getting to the end of the week, and we just kind of busy and didn't have an idea, and then all of a sudden I thought of doing, because I had talked to my aunt about it briefly. So we're going to talk about and eat some Spam today. And have you ever had Spam before, Andy?
Yeah, I have. I don't know. I think at one point I was obsessed with it. Maybe when I was 12 or something dumb like that. But
yeah, so I've heard a lot about Spam. I don't think I've ever actually had Spam.
Oh, really?
Which is interesting. I hear a lot of kids, it was like a school lunch, you get Spam in a sandwich or something like that. And we never got Spam. My mom never bought Spam. And so it's one of those things, sometimes your parents, when they don't like something or don't eat something, you just kind of grow up
without
also
it.
Not liking it, even though it's you've never had it. It's just it's like a genetic distaste. And so, I've had thoughts about Spam, but I think when I was making it today or had it, I'm I don't think I've ever had Spam.
You've had thoughts about Spam?
Yeah, I just had,
Saw
had
Spam
ingrained...
on Bumble at some point.
Yeah, I swiped right on... No.
Whatever the
I swiped left.
Whatever the good one is.
No, I swiped left on Spam.
Is that the bad one?
The bad one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But, I had ingrained opinions already of, Spam is just this gross canned thing. But I realized today I've never actually had Spam.
Well, I think today's going to be a couple different ways to judge it.
Yeah, so we'll get into the first thing we're going to do. But I was in Hawaii years ago, and Spam is, rampant over in Hawaii. Spam was all over the place. On every menu you go into, there's some sort of Spam dish. And I thought that was interesting. Yeah. And I actually didn't even have the Spam when I was there. There was other things I wanted to eat.
Is it ironically or unironically?
What do you mean?
Are they yeah, and you can get this chicken with Spam?
It wasn't a replacement. It was a meal that was based on the Spam.
Huh. At
at
many restaurants.
Yeah. And so, we'll get into it, but when you look up Spam and all that, Hawaii eats a ton of Spam. Any more than anywhere else in America, at least. It's ingrained in their diets, kind of.
So before we get going, do you have your Spam can near you?
I don't, do you?
No. But I was looking at the expiration date, and ours probably have the same expiration date because they're probably from the same batch or lot. Mm-hmm. And it's actually earlier than I thought. So we're living in the year 2020 right now, but it was going to expire in 2023. Did you think it was going to be later than that?
I guess. I don't know. That sounds about right. I thought you were going to say when you were saying that next year.
Oh,
that
no.
would have been surprising to me. But 3 years for meat?
I mean, I think of Spam as the cockroach of nuclear fallout. You can only eat Spam because that's the only thing that's still good anymore in terms of meat, at least. So, which it probably is. That's probably it's got to be on the upper echelon of expiry. But I don't know. I guess I expected more from you, Spam.
Well, I wonder why it lasts so long. Probably because it's got such a high fat content. Mm-hmm. And salt content. Mm-hmm. So it's not very healthy. Not really at all. So let's get into the first thing we're going to eat, and then we'll talk more about Spam.
Okay.
So the first thing we're going to eat is called Musubi, and it is Spam sushi. Mm-hmm. And it's a huge popular dish in Hawaii. This is probably the most popular, iconic way that they eat Spam there. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of a quick to-go food. You can eat it warm. You can actually eat it cold, too. Mine is going to be a little bit warm, just because we kind of just finished it. But yeah, this is Spam sushi, which I thought was really weird. But when I looked into other countries and how they make it, there's a lot of different countries that do Spam sushi.
Surprised they didn't call it spooshy.
Yeah. So what this is it's rice, obviously, because you're doing sushi. And when you're talking about sushi actually has to do with rice, not the wrapping. When you think sushi, you think it has to do with the seaweed wrap.
Yeah.
but sushi has to do with rice. But this is wrapped in seaweed.
And
so
then-
it's rice with a little bit of rice wine vinegar.
Yep.
And then you have your slice of Spam, which is soaked and marinated in soy sauce, oyster sauce, and sugar.
Yeah.
So that's a new thing to the pod, the oyster sauce.
I was like, sugar?
And yeah. And then you kind of press that into a tight little bun, and then you wrap it in a roll of seaweed.
Well, let's take a bite, and then we'll talk about the process and how we did, right? I'm going to go Spam to hit the top of my palate. I could get down with this. This is good.
This is really good.
So, I mean, like, this was like one of the first ones that we did. And so in the spots where it's like a double wrapping of seaweed, it's really hard to bite through.
Yeah.
But this is delicious, I think. I don't know.
This is really good, yeah.
I think that
So
the seaweed complements it. Go ahead.
Yeah, it does. The seaweed gives it a really nice flavor, and I think it mixes well with the oyster sauce. It kind of gives it a little bit of a fishy taste.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's got a little bit of, I know it's not really Asian, but you got the soy sauce and the rice.
I mean, that's Asian. What do you...
Yeah, but it's, I mean, we're not eating Asian food. Yeah, you got soy sauce, rice. It's got a little bit of a fishy flavor, but then the Spam is nice, salty, breakfasty ham pork flavor.
So you talk about what's Asian and what's not Asian. Where would you find this dish or snack, if you will? So Hawaii.
Musubi.
Mm-hmm. Where else?
Well, so in South Korea they have something similar. It's called Kimbap.
Okay.
And it's also sushi, but it's sushi with a bunch of vegetables, and it also has egg in it. So
we weren't
I
gonna.
was like, well, that's out. Because I was like, let's just do a Spam sushi episode. And then, interestingly enough, when I was looking up Spam recipes, like 90% of the recipes goes with egg.
I'm so sorry.
So I guess Spam pairs well with egg, but when I was looking through, I'm like, nope.
What if one day I'm just cured?
That'd be cool.
I mean, obviously we're gonna be doing snack down until the cows come home, but if we were taking a break, this is in like 15 years, and like I just somehow was like, oh my gosh, I don't have an egg intolerance anymore. I'm like, fire it up.
We'd start a new series of egg down episodes.
Yeah.
This is really, really good.
Yeah, I like it. Honestly, so I really think the one that just has the seaweed wrapped in the middle, I think that would be fantastic, right?
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think the rice vinegar is nice because I don't always have rice with rice vinegar.
So alone, so I tasted the rice because I was having a hard time measuring it kind of, and I think I put a little too much rice vinegar in. Mm-hmm. So I was tasting it just to see. And alone, I wouldn't really like eating the rice that way. It was a little too vinegary to just eat as straight rice. So then I was like, I don't know. Hopefully it pairs well with the seaweed and the Spam, and it does. I don't taste. It's not very strong vinegar once it's mixed with all those other things.
Mm-hmm. It complements it. I mean, it
complements it really well.
Yeah.
I think if you went to Hawaii, you could find this on like a food truck type deal. Like it's very like scrap and go. Like we eat like burritos and stuff. You know, like a taco or burrito, you just grab like a musubi somewhere.
And I'm sure the recipes for it get kind of wild.
Mm-hmm. But if you look up pictures of musubi, I think we did a pretty good job.
I think so too.
So there's two different ways to wrap musubi. You can wrap the whole thing like I did, which is from end to end, it's all seaweed wrapped. And then there's other ways where you kind of wrap it just around the middle.
We did both in this house.
Yeah. So Andy and Kaylin did both. I just wrapped them all the same way. I wanted like the flavor of the seaweed because some of the ones I saw, the pictures of it was just like a very thin strip, just basically holding it together.
Mine looks like a sandal.
Yeah, or like a horse brush. I've seen some that kind of look like you stick your hand in the strap.
Yeah. And you're like, here, Buttercup. That's good. So do you have the history of Spam?
Yeah. So I looked into it a little bit. So Spam was created in 1937, and apparently the meaning of Spam is only known by a handful of people, of former executives.
Like what
it meant, what it stood for. But everyone is assuming it stands for spiced ham. But what's crazy is what made Spam boom in the whole world is World War II. Mm-hmm. So in World War II, Spam was one of the main things that the soldiers ate. It was hard to get food to the front line, especially food that would last.
Right.
And so it became like a huge thing in World War II. All the soldiers ate it.
Yeah, especially, I mean, obviously World War II had a lot of different supply chains that were working and weren't working. So a lot of area to cover.
The U.S. soldiers referred to it as ham that didn't pass its physical, meatloaf without basic training, and special army meat.
I like special army meat because
but
that's
before
Spam.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Right?
Oh, that is, yeah. I didn't even realize that when I read it. Yeah.
I would have been like scouring that for like, what does Spam mean?
But over the course of the war, the American military purchased 150 million pounds of Spam.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then it kind of spread. Was popular in like the UK and Spain and all that. Because even after World War II, there was a lot of rationing and poverty. And like, I guess Spam became really popular. And Margaret Thatcher called it a wartime delicacy, I guess, in the UK. So it says Spam's ingredients are pork with ham.
Yeah, I don't
pork
understand.
with ham added. That doesn't make sense to me because I thought pork was a general term, which it is when I looked it up. So I don't know why it says pork with ham added. Doesn't make sense. But according to Wikipedia, it's pork with ham added. There's salt, water, modified potato starch, sugar, sodium nitrate. And as it's like cooking, it's got a natural gelatin that forms in the tins and on the production line. And many have raised concern over Spam's nutritional attributes, in large part due to its high content of fat, sodium, and preservatives.
Okay, hold on. You said 100 million pounds of Spam.
150 million pounds of Spam.
Okay, so 150 million. Let's do a little math. I'm just trying to think of how many pigs that is. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
So divide by, so a whole hog is approximately 120 to 140 pounds of meat, according to evermorefarm.com, for whole hog ordering. So if we're doing like the upper end of that, so you divide 150 million by 140, you come up with 1,071,428 pigs.
And I guarantee you it was more than that. Because I don't think they're taking like the nice parts of the pig and putting it in Spam.
Right. Well,
You know what I mean?
yeah, but I mean, so
Maybe for wartime.
yeah,
they were just
wartime.
using it all.
I'm thinking, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, if they kind of
lot of
like
pigs.
wasted the bacon part on
Yeah.
the pork belly on Spam, shame on them. But
Yeah.
there's a war to be had, so
It's just interesting to me though. So I was thinking, I wonder if Spam would be as popular today, especially worldwide, if there was no World War II. Because that's kind of what blew Spam up, became like a main source of food for the soldiers. It became all over the world, at least the countries that were involved in the war, became an easy, cheap source of meat.
yeah, it's a suffering food. It's a food based out of necessity. So if you take away necessity, I mean, obviously there would have been like, wars beyond World War II because I'm sure it wasn't just World War II where they were using Spam in the military. Like no doubt they used it in the Korean War, maybe Vietnam, probably beyond that, right?
But it's crazy. So it says Hormel expanded Spam's output as part of Allied aid to similarly beleaguered Soviet Union, which is crazy. In his memoir, Khrushchev remembers, Nikita Khrushchev declared, without Spam, we wouldn't have been able to feed our armies. Just interesting how Spam's effect on the war and the war's effect on Spam.
Okay, so I had this thought in my head that like the makers of Spam are just like, yeah, one could say that we fed the war and won the war. But
Yeah.
Someone wrote an article in defensemedianetwork.com that says, a war won with Spam and a few other things. And then you see this dude eating Spam directly out of the can, like
Ugh.
by the spoonful, over a fire or something. And he's like got the can in his hand, and he's got a cigarette in that same hand, and then he's got the spoon. I don't know how you'd like get to the cigarette part. Like, did you really need that cigarette while you're also eating highly processed ham? I don't know.
It's interesting. It doesn't take that long to cook Spam, though. I mean, it was 2 minutes per side. So maybe if you were sitting by a campfire and just spoonful held it over the fire, you could just warm it up. Because that's all you really have to do with the Spam. It's already like cooked.
Okay, so you ready for a World War II poem?
There's a Spam poem?
Just listen. Now Jackson had his acorns, and Grant his precious rye. Teddy had his poisoned beef, worse you couldn't buy. The doughboy had his hardtack without the Navy's jam, but armies on their stomachs move, and this one moves on Spam. It's pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you like that? Did you like that poem or nah?
It was lovely. Put my heart aflutter.
Did it?
So, during World War II also, in its occupations which followed, Spam was introduced into Guam, Hawaii, Okinawa, the Philippines, and other islands in the Pacific. It was immediately absorbed into native diets and has become a unique part of the history and effects of the U.S. influence in the Pacific Islands.
Mm-hmm.
So Guam is one of the countries that it's eaten most. Guam and South Korea, I guess, and the Philippines, they all eat a ton of Spam. I think Guam more than anyone else. So here's something interesting and funny. So every year in Hawaii, they hold the Waikiki Spam Jam. which is like a spam festival.
A spam jam.
So it's like a spam festival, and they have contests about like homemade spam recipes and all that kind of stuff. And in Hawaii, it's sometimes referred to as the Hawaiian steak because people like it so much.
Now, did that taste exceedingly high in sodium to you?
Not as much as I was expecting. Mm-hmm. I thought it would be even more because of the soy sauce.
Yeah.
And the oyster sauce that was in there. But maybe the sugar kind of balanced it out.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as... I was expecting it to be real salty because soy sauce on its own is pretty salty.
Yeah. And there wasn't a ton added, but it had like a pretty high amount in terms of like relation to everything else in the little marinade.
That's delicious. I really like it, actually. So this is actually really easy to make, too. The only thing that took a long time is the rice, obviously, because rice takes a while. So the rice had to soak for 4 hours. That's just kind of what you do with rice.
Yeah.
Probably could have been done less, but... Which I had never actually cooked rice either, so this was, like, all new to me.
Say that again?
I'd never actually cooked rice before this.
Ever?
Myself, so, yeah.
You've never, ever made rice?
No. So, like, that's always someone else's job. We even, like, do potlucks at work. You know, we all bring one thing.
Uh-huh.
And it's always someone's like, oh, I'm really good at making rice.
So everyone else is, like, making, like, really expensive stuff, and then they've got this corn kernel size bag, like you've got, like a 50-pounder, where you just always like, oh, I've got popcorn.
Yeah. I always volunteer to, like, buy the chips for the salsa that someone else is making, so I don't have to make anything.
This is Snackdown, guys.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, there's like rice cookers, you know? Like,
yeah.
You can get like a nice apparatus for cooking rice, which is what this person did. So you soak the rice for 4 hours, then you simmer it in boiling water for 20 minutes, and then you kind of let it cool with rice wine vinegar. Mm-hmm. And then you are marinating the spam and the soy sauce, oyster sauce, sugar. Then you pan fry it for like 2 minutes on each side, just to get it a little bit brown and crispy. Yep. And then you're supposed to use, if you have it, a rice press to kind of like compact the rice. But we actually used the Spam can.
I'm not even sure if Kaylin did. I don't think she did.
Yeah, you can just use your hand. The rice is sticky enough that you can compact in your hand. If you want it like the exact shape of the Spam, you can just use the Spam can. I keep saying Spam cam.
That's when you like leave the Spam alone just to make sure it's not sentient.
You put the baby monitor in the room.
You're like, are you very dead and processed, or so processed that you're alive again? Spam can. Yeah.
So you take the Spam can and you kind of use saran wrap and kind of like line it with that, and then you push the rice in, you push the Spam in, you kind of push it down, and then you just pop that back out.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
You did that method?
It worked pretty well.
Yeah, I thought that was just good. I found that the sugar was caramelizing and like really getting kind of burnt.
Mm-hmm. Same thing happened to me.
Yeah. So I kind of set the pan to more of a simmer. We tried to kind of flash fry it, and it just started burning. We're just like, take it off. So
yeah, mine kind of burnt, and I just kind of let it go.
Yeah.
So one side was nice and, you know, like a little bit toasty brown, and then the other side was kind of a more blacker, stickier version of the top. But I don't taste any burnt flavor, though. It actually still tastes pretty good.
Oh yeah, it doesn't taste too burnt, and I think we caught it at the right time. So well, you want to get into the next dish?
Yeah, we'll take a deep dive into a spamwich.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do that.
And we'll get into that when we come back. So we'll take a break and be back with another spam dish.
Your Spanish is very nice. You're very fluent in Spanish.
Habla español.
That's awesome. Awesome.
All right. We'll be right back. All right.
See you in a bit.
Bye. Hey guys, if you like what you hear every week and you're looking to support Snackdown, one of the best ways is just telling your friends. You can also send us suggestions on social media. We always like that. Another way people have supported us is by sending us snacks in the mail. The newest way you can support is going to our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/snackdown. And by doing that, you can get early day releases to episodes. Thanks for all your support. Thanks for listening. Back to the episode. And we're back. I was waiting for you to say something like, we're spam, or I don't know.
I really tricked you. Sometimes you look for the negative space for the tricks.
Yeah. So what do we have here?
So what'd you do? You first there, Chelsea.
Okay, so what we did was, we did a classic grilled cheese sandwich with some pan-fried Spam in the middle. And this is kind of a popular way to do that in America, I guess. Just kind of eating it in like a grilled cheese sandwich. Sometimes there's egg in it. But we didn't do it with eggs. We just did a classic grilled cheese with some pan-fried Spam. And I didn't do anything extra. The only thing that's different about mine is I have ultra sharp American cheese, which is weird because I don't think I've ever had sharp American cheese. I only think of that as cheddar.
No, but I do think of American cheese as kind of being a cheaper cheese.
Yeah.
So you have like two sort of suffering foods.
But it's ultra sharp.
Loving
that
it.
means it's elegant American cheese.
It's sliced, right?
Yeah, and they come in long strips. The American cheese that I got, because I got it from a deli. It's not like prepackaged or whatever. And so then I fold it in two, and it's got kind of like 2 pieces of the cheese on there, and then it's got 2 pieces of Spam, and that's about it. I didn't do anything. I didn't season it or anything like that.
So I did a little something different.
Yeah.
It's mostly the same. So I did, actually, it's some really good, I think it's called like French peasant bread. That's like what we're getting. We've got like this little produce box. And so if you're in central New York, there's a brand called Heidelberg, and it's just like this really good bread. So that's all we have, fortunately or unfortunately. And then I have sharp American cheddar, just kind of shredded cheddar. And then I did the Spam. I kind of pre-fried that, right? Like we were talking about. And then there's a really good barbecue sauce that's specifically, I think it works specifically with pork. It's the Dinosaur Barbecue Sensuous Slathering Sauce.
Nice.
I haven't eaten it yet. Kellen took a little nibble off the side, and she said, "Yeah, it's good." So
I'm using, my bread isn't like plain white bread. It's kind of white bread, but I've been buying this 647 bread. Have you ever seen that?
No, is it good?
So it tastes like regular bread, like white bread or whatever, but it's the 647 stands for it's only got 6 carbs, 40 calories, and 7 net grams of fiber. But it's basically made like similar ingredients. I don't know how it's so, because it's like a third of the calories of other brands of bread.
Does it have more air?
Maybe. It seems pretty thick though. So are you a squisher when you make grilled cheese?
What do you mean?
Like you take the spatula and like smush it?
No.
Oh, you gotta smush.
What are you talking about? Why?
It adds to the flavor, I think.
No, it doesn't.
You don't smush? You like...
What would you smush? What are you smushing?
The bread. You take the spatula and like smash it.
At what point?
During the cooking.
Not really, no.
Interesting.
I don't think you need to.
Let's take a bite of this.
Okay. Thoughts?
It's good. It tastes kind of like a ham and cheese for me.
Yeah.
When you put a little bit of ham in your grilled cheese.
I try not to add a ridiculous amount of the sensuous slathering sauce. And I think a lot of it absorbed into the bread, but it's really good. Just adds like a little touch of something else.
So you guys don't buy Spam at home, right?
No, we don't own any cans of Spam.
Do you think this will become a new thing you'll buy?
No.
Especially since you have kids.
No, I don't think so. I don't. No. Especially since we have kids. How about you? Would you buy this?
Maybe like if I was looking for something like really quick, At least
when I think of something really quick, I think of McDonald's.
So interesting that you say that. So in Hawaii, the Burger King, to compete with McDonald's, has Spam in their sandwiches. They have Spam burgers. So it's funny you say that. But no, I probably won't. And I think a lot of people in America think of Spam as cheap food. And if you have the money to buy regular ham or pork, why would you buy Spam?
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
So I think that's kind of like everyone's opinion of Spam. That's kind of been my opinion. I think it's pretty good. But in that opinion, if I have the money, why not buy ham or pork or whatever? But if you go to somewhere like Hawaii or Guam or whatever, they just love the taste and flavor of Spam.
I wonder how much Spam is in relation to like cost in Hawaii versus like continental United States. I mean, I can only imagine that. I mean, everything has to be pretty expensive in Hawaii. So does Spam kind of follow suit, or is it like something that's still sort of cheap because it doesn't have to be fresh or frozen or whatever?
Yeah, but I mean, pigs aren't something that you grow, so it's not like they'd have a hard time having pigs in Hawaii. They probably could have pigs. They probably the only thing they don't have is the land.
Yeah, I mean, pigs need land.
Yeah. But I think it's one of those things that it's just a cultural thing now. You kind of grow up eating Spam. If everyone grows up eating Spam, you kind of like Spam. And that's what I was saying. Like, I didn't grow up eating Spam, so I don't have like these fond memories of Spam. I don't have these home-cooked meals in mind of Spam. There's nothing like tying me to the flavor of Spam, so I might as well just buy pork or whatever. But I think if it's instituted early on and it's a national thing and it's a pastime and a cultural thing, I think they don't think of it as cheap or long-lasting. They think of it as just a different type of food to eat.
Let's talk about cost of living, just in general, in Hawaii.
In Hawaii?
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Yeah. You ready for this? And I'm comparing this specifically to Syracuse. So the cost of living index for a homeowner with no childcare and taxes not considered let's say the index is 79. It's 176.5 in Honolulu. Food and groceries, 96 versus 138. Housing is 38 in Syracuse versus 285.
Wow.
So you're going to pay for a house in Honolulu 649% more.
Honolulu is like a vacation town, though. You might be able to go cheaper if you went to like...
Okay.
They're all pretty vacation-y, but...
Let's pick another place. Okay, so if you live in Hawaiian Acres, Hawaii, which let's find out where that is. It's in Hawaii County, Hawaii. Cost of living isn't, it's more expensive,
similar.
But it's the home cost is only 179% more expensive rather than 649%.
That's,
more expensive.
So it's expensive, but not as astronomical. So there is state parks in Hawaii that you can camp for free.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can
That's
just
awesome.
Camp eternally. The weather's nice. So the weather in Hawaii fluctuates only by like 10 degrees all year long. So that's kind of crazy. You just got to worry about, volcanoes and hurricanes and things like that.
I mean, if there's a volcano, kind of doesn't matter if you're in a tent or not.
No, exactly.
I
got my my windscreen, my rain fly, and my lava wall.
Mm-hmm. My sandbags, which will turn into glass.
Yeah, I'm a glass farmer. This sandwich is pretty good.
So if I had you over and I had smoked Spam, that actually would be, right? What are you thinking?
I wonder what that would be like.
Cold smoked Spam or hot smoked Spam? What are you thinking?
I think you could cold smoke it for longer. I think hot smoking it, I don't know.
Yeah.
You're the meat guy.
Am I? Is this meat?
So you were hot smoking your beef jerky, right?
Uh-huh.
Could you do Spam jerky?
I would not want to do Spam jerky.
You should smoke some Spam.
Next time I go to the store, I'll get a can of Spam, and then I'll also get a bunch of cheese just to kind of make it worth smoking. And then I'll cold smoke some Spam.
So the texture is very...
Spongy?
Yeah, it's like a spongy, squishy. How would that hold up to smoking, do you think?
Well, if it's cold smoked, it won't matter.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking cold smoking would be better. So speaking of smoking, when I was at the store the other day, I keep trying to buy smoked fish, just trying to find a good one that I could buy from the store and not get from you or something.
Yeah.
And I don't normally go to Price Chopper, but I was there and I saw they had like different kinds in the Wegmans versions. Mm-hmm. And they had some smoked herring, and it was like these long strips, and it looked a lot different than like the package I normally get, and it was like covered in like salt and seasoning, and it looked really good. So I'm like, sweet, this might be what I'm looking for, because it looked a lot more solid instead of squishy. Like the ones I keep getting are very wet and moist, so this looked a little bit more dry. Mm-hmm. So I was so excited.
Super good.
It was the grossest thing I've ever eaten. I almost I had to spit it out.
Really?
I took one bite, and it was so salty. It was basically like eating a mouthful of seawater. Have you ever got seawater in your mouth?
Yeah.
That's how much salt it was. Like I couldn't taste any fish.
Were there instructions on how to eat it?
That's why after I spit it out, I'm like, this is impossible to eat.
Did you Google how to eat smoked herring?
I did not. But I looked all over the package to see if there was preparation or something that you're supposed to do. There wasn't anything.
No. A lot of people are serving it as is. They said if you see some salt crust on it, did you?
Yeah.
Probably worth rinsing.
Maybe that's what I should have done, is rinse it.
Someone writes, been eating smoked herring for years. Great Gramp smoked his own in Nova Scotia. But I still pick up a package every once in a while. We've enjoyed it just as it comes, on crackers or a little rye bread. Sour cream would be nice too. It's such a unique flavor. By itself is best, but thinking on a toothpick with the right piece of cheese might be nice.
Some cool jazz in the background and a bottle of wine by a fire.
Can you edit in a little smooth jazz while we're talking about this?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Back again after dinner. Made the eggs in tomato sauce, otherwise known as eggs in purgatory. They were very well received. Made refried beans, with pinto beans, which were made last night. They were very well received. The herring was very salty, even after rinsing and deboning, and rinsing again, and lemon wedges having been squeezed over. But the dinner was not a total loss. Champagne cures everything. Writes Geo, January 2, 2009, 4:52 p.m.
Diary entry number. Laying on his bed with his legs in the air, writing about.
That was the perfect. I didn't even screen that one. That was the perfect one.
So Here's one of the problems I found with Spam is, like, if you're going to eat Spam, you're eating the whole can. There's no way you're scooping out part of the Spam. You got to take that whole block out and then eat it. So I still have some Spam out there on like the cutting board that I got to figure out what I'm going to do with. I wonder how long it lasts outside of the can.
It's like a scared little animal.
Well, you know, like after you touch cheese or something like that,
Yeah,
bacteria will start to grow. So I wonder if now that it's sitting out on the counter or it's been exposed to air, if the shelf life goes down. I'm assuming it probably does for sure.
Here's a Spam handling protocol. So you open up the can of Spam, then you dump the Spam, because it doesn't really have a lot of water with it.
No.
You dump the Spam directly into a Ziploc bag. Then you kind of, almost like with chapstick, you kind of push it up a little bit, and then you slice off what you need, then the Spam goes back in the Ziploc.
Can you imagine
Spam you very much. What?
Can you imagine Spam lipstick or Spam chapstick?
No.
Just take a little nibble.
Dude, you and I need to get on the Burt's Bees idea board. They're like, Burt's Bees is like, man, we don't really have a lot of business in Hawaii. And we're like,
Spam.
You and I are just rolling up our sleeves. They're like, how'd you get in here? You're like, look, jerks, here's what you're going to do. It's called the Hawaii Pack, and it's a 2-pack of chapstick. And one of them is pineapple flavored, and the other is Spam flavored. You're welcome.
Yeah, a lot of the, speaking of that, a lot of the Hawaiian sandwiches also have pineapple with their Spam.
I think I would prefer that.
I think that would be pretty good.
I think if we revisit this, probably not on the pod, but just as friends.
Yeah, pan fry the Spam, pan fry the pineapple also. Mm-hmm. Would you put cheese with it at that point? Does cheese go with pineapple?
No, I would do pan fried pineapple, a little bit of, honestly, that sensuous slathering sauce from Dinosaur, and then I would do pan-fried Spam. I would probably do thin layers of Spam still, and just kind of stack them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of like a little...
layered?
Yeah, like a little layered.
Layering
drippings
effect?
On a Hawaii bun, or whatever.
What if a true Hawaiian pizza would not be ham and pineapple on top, but Spam and pineapple pizza? Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Can we talk about... This is a little on subject. Let's talk about the history of introduction of pigs to Hawaii. A pig wouldn't have floated to Hawaii, right?
Maybe a couple pigs set sail.
Gonna go with no on that. So the original history of it was there was a guy named Captain Cook who was also in charge of making donuts. So the thought is that Captain Cook and his European crew came to Hawaii in 1778, but there's a lot more data that shows that the pig's lineage is more Asian in nature, and they think that the Polynesians brought them about 800 years before, so probably in the 900s, which is cool. It's very cool.
When I was there, Hawaii's got a really interesting history because it's very influenced by two completely different cultures. Mm-hmm. So you got the American culture, as it's now part of America, but then it also has its Polynesian roots. So it's a very mixed culture, which is kind of cool.
And then also Japanese culture.
Yeah, I would say this Musubi is very Japanese.
Very Japanese. Yeah, it's a good mix, dude. If we added pineapple to that, I think it would have had to have been a very caramelized pineapple for it to work. I think if it was like a fresh, juicy pineapple, I don't think it really would have worked with the rice and the Spam. Would you agree with that? Yeah. Nice. This is good. This is a very good episode.
Yeah. It came together, so it was just like a random idea, why don't we just do Spam? It's easy. We've never done it before. Mm-hmm. And then when I started looking it up and looking at, Spam's influence all over the world.
You took a deep dive into the Spam can.
Well, it also is weird to me that one of America's biggest influences food-wise in the world is Spam, which is processed canned ham.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is very interesting.
Yeah. I don't know.
But, I mean, it's kind of our food over here is very processed. But it's very interesting that it came out right before the World War II.
The World War II?
Right before World War II, and then was a major...
You're right before the Great American War, or the War to End All Wars, Part 2.
So which World War was the Great War?
The first one.
The first one was the Great War?
Yeah.
That makes sense, because there wasn't a 2 yet. That was the biggest war yet. Yeah. And now they've just started numbering them because they know it's just a long line of wars.
It says World War blank of question mark?
And 2, they're should we call it the Greater War or World War II?
It's in a series. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Now we're stuck in post-Cold War skirmishes. Yay.
So I've been reading a lot of books through the quarantine era. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, whenever I read books, unplanned, they always have similar themes.
Like what?
So
Always killing a whale.
Last year, I read a lot of books about like Native American culture. And
Oh, really?
unplanned. I just was like reading, it just kept coming up in the books that I was reading. I'm like, huh, it's kind of interesting. This year it's the Cold War, atomic bombs, and like like America's like turn towards nuclear warfare, and it's kind of a depressing read. But I've already read like 3 books with that, so then it's like now I'm leaning into it and starting to get more books.
Nice. I don't think that's nice, actually.
So the spam is kind of fitting for that.
Yeah, it's I don't know.
I think I actually might get spam again on a pinch. Like if I'm buying like lunch, like sandwich stuff, it's kind of cool on a sandwich.
So honestly, I'd say spam. In my opinion, I wouldn't just put it by itself. You know what I mean?
Oh no, I wouldn't just.
Or not even. Spam. I had big hesitancy to even just have it just with cheese. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I think it just needs. Yeah. I think it needs a little marinade, needs a little sauce. Yeah. Oh, maybe a spam and Swiss. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was looking at all the cheeses, and I was thinking like, oh, I bet it would be good with this and this, but I decided to go with American for like a classic grilled cheese. So when you make grilled cheese, what's your classic cheese?
Cheddar, honestly.
You're a cheddar grilled cheese guy?
It's just kind of what I have on hand. I don't really buy American too much.
I don't really buy it either, but here's a great thing to do. 1 slice of American, 1 slice of provolone.
What?
Delicious.
Say it again?
1 slice of American, 1 slice of provolone.
Why do you say provolone like that?
What is it?
Provolone.
That's what I was saying, provolone. It's different?
You say provolone.
Provolone. Provolone.
Do you live provolone or do you live with...
with a roommate? Provolone. Home Alone 2. Provolone.
Yeah. The cheese is just like setting traps. Yeah. I'll give it a whirl. On that.
We gave spam a whirl. But yeah, the American cheese adds like a nice classic grilled cheese taste. The provolone adds a stretch from your mouth back to the sandwich. Delicious combo.
I feel like Mott's would do that too.
But Mott's doesn't have the same flavor. Mozzarella has a very subtle flavor.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Are you a 2 cheese or 1 cheese grilled cheeser?
2. It's got to be 2. Yeah,
you gotta have 2. Otherwise,
gotta have 2. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Not even 2.
Now, if you're putting something with it, like say spam, do you still do 2?
I do.
Or does that take the place of 1?
And I kind of had shredded cheese, so I sprinkled it.
Really.
So I'd honestly, I'd probably just do 1. I don't like any cheese hanging off the sides, though. You know what I mean?
Really? I like a little drip, especially when it touches the pan, then turns a little brown and crispy.
No, don't like that.
No. I could eat burnt cheese all day. I think it's good. So you don't like any drip out of the bread?
Not early drip. I don't want that drip turning into like this, not even just like burnt, but like burnt and like dried and like kind of air puffed. I don't like that. When you get like that level of burnt, not a fan.
I think you have to have some sort of a drip to know that cheese is melted. Because nothing is worse than browning or blackening the outside of the bread too quickly, and then the cheese inside is not melted.
Do you put the lid on or nah?
I didn't know. I don't.
I'm a lid on guy.
Yeah, that would melt the cheese quicker.
It makes sense. And
but so if you squish the sandwich with the spatula, that also helps.
Doesn't help. What is that?
Next time you make a grilled cheese, smush that thing.
So I found in sandwich making, so while I can't have mayonnaise, I like adding butter to the inside of bread, right? Mm-hmm. Because then it kind of adds like a little bit of a little pizzazz.
So have you ever had a sandwich made on like a panini press or a George Foreman?
Yeah.
So that kind of adds that squish factor. You know, you're like squishing the bread. So it's like that flatter.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what you're doing in this. You're just kind of doing it yourself.
So, okay, but the bread that I have is like pretty firm.
Thick, yeah.
So I don't think it would like, if you're using like Wonder Bread, then like, sure, right?
So the trick to do with thick bread, if it's hard to squish, is you take the spatula and like stab it across it, kind of breaking it in like 20 different spots, and then it will squish easier.
I think you're relying, I think you're paying too much attention to the squish factor and not enough to, I feel like you're missing something else.
I think it's a very important part of a grilled cheese.
Vote now.
I'm sure people will agree with me.
Okay, so that takes the precedent. Let's talk about ranks of importance, right? The squish, the drip factor, the cheese type, the bread type. What's the most important?
I would say squish, number 1.
That's not the most important. Are you serious? Are you messing with me?
Maybe 2.
What's the most important?
Cheese type.
Okay. Then the squish.
Then the drip. Then the bread.
You think the bread is 4th in line for most importance?
But you can make grilled cheese with anything.
I got some words off the pod for you, but...
So is your bread choice more important than your cheese choice?
They're equally important.
I mean, I guess, I don't know. That's a tough question.
Squish is clearly not important to me.
Squish is very important. If it's an unsquished grilled cheese, it's only mediocre.
I'll note that next time you come over. And I'll tell you I squished it. But guess what, Justin? I didn't squish it.
I'll test it.
I'm sure you...
It's like when you send meat, or you send like a meal back to be microwaved because like the meat's not done yet. I'm like sending back my sandwich for the squish.
Yeah.
Or you just see me like pounding it with my fist.
Yeah. And like, then my kids are like copying you. I'm like, Justin, you ruined lunch. My kids have molten cheese on them now.
For some reason, that just reminded me.
Their faces are melting.
That reminded me of the story of me and my brother when we were young. We were eating like peanut butter and jelly or something like that. And we were fighting on the back porch. And one of us like knocked the other person's sandwich on the ground and like stepped on it. So there was like a big heel mark in the sandwich. And my mom still made us eat it.
Really?
Yeah. Because we were like messing around and playing. And she's like, well, you still have to eat it. And there was like a footprint kind of like smushed in the sandwich.
Did you?
Yeah. I don't remember whose it was or like who stepped on it. But we just told her that story. We're like, remember that? She's like, I don't remember that at all. So, what was your favorite?
I'd probably say the Musubi, just because I've never had. I mean, I've had sushi before, obviously, but it's like less common in my diet, and I think it panned out. I think it really worked out.
Yeah, it was really different, and I liked that the Spam was marinated. I think it gave it like slightly different taste than the grilled cheese.
And it was only 5-minute marinade. I mean, that's not.
Yeah, it's not that much.
It's not crazy.
Like a whole process. Yeah, the only thing that was tough about it was, you have to make rice. So, I mean, it's like a longer process.
It's not tough.
It didn't take that long, though. I mean, you're just soaking it for 4 hours. You're not cooking for 4 hours.
I mean, I think the soaking it was just to kind of get out the excess starch, like the fine powderized starch.
When I dumped the water out, it was very, very, like, cloudy.
So I rinsed mine a couple times before I let it sit.
Oh, really? I rinsed it after, but I was just following the instructions.
Honestly, you can probably just get away with just rinsing it 5 times. I put mine in a measuring cup, like a large, like Pyrex one. And so then I just kept rinsing it. It was super cloudy, and then it ran a little clearer. So I think you can just get away with that. I really don't think you got to do 4 hours. I rinsed mine and then I did it for 4 hours, but I don't think you need to. So.
Yeah, it was really good. I liked it. And I like the seaweed, the nori wraps. It's called nori. I've been eating seaweed as a snack lately. They sell these packs of seaweed that's like salty and greasy, and it is delicious.
Why are they greasy?
I think it's just because they're salty, but they're pretty greasy. They're oily. It's more oil.
They add like some sort of vegetable oil or something in there.
And there's like a little there's like a delicatessen in there. Is that what it's called?
Nope.
A silicone pack.
A silicate?
Yeah, there's a silicate in there.
A desiccant?
Desiccant. That's what I was thinking with the delicatessen.
A delicatessen is like it's a restaurant.
It's a cooking term. Yeah, it's a chef or restaurant.
I think it's like a German word. Let's see. Can I just double check that real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's from the German Delicatessen or Dutch Delicatessen, meaning prepared foods for sale.
But yeah, it's good. Just eating seaweed. And it has the same flavor as this. It's got a little bit more salty, oily flavor to it. It's delicious. So yeah, that went well. And I like the cheese sandwich, the grilled cheese sandwich. It was good. It just reminded me of like throwing some ham, like lunch meat ham in there.
Do you know how we say, what the short word for delicatessen is?
What? Catessen? Tessen? Essen?
Deli?
Oh, deli? Oh, that makes sense. I used every other part of the word.
Were you messing with me?
No. I didn't really think about it.
And you read so many books.
I didn't really think about the question. I just...
You're just spitballing, man. These are just brainstorms.
Well, I thought the reason you were telling me was because it was gonna be really weird,
No, it was a softball. I was just throwing you a softball. That's awesome. Well, you want to wrap up?
Yeah. So that was Spam. So get out to your local store and squeeze out the meat from the can. Did you squeeze the meat out?
It was a little squeeze and a lot of shake.
Yeah, I had to like shake. They make it look so easy in the YouTube videos that I've seen, but I think that cut out a lot of the shaking.
I think it just has to because it's kind of a little loose in there. So I think it kind of has to, when you're like shaking a guitar pick out of an acoustic guitar, like if it falls in, it's kind of like a little bit of that. Like it's kind of got to line up with the shape of the can.
That's exactly what it's like.
Yeah, right? Would you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, yeah, thanks for joining us.
That was good.
If you have any spam recipes, just let us know.
Yeah, and look online. Like, if you have more time to cook, there's a lot of different recipes out there for spam from all over the world. These are just kind of like simple sandwiches. I mean, I think they consider the sushi musubi kind of like a sandwich in Hawaii.
Sort of.
It's kind of the same size as an ice cream sandwich.
a sushi sandwich?
Yeah.
Kidding.
A spamwich.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, guys, and take care of yourselves and each other.
And don't forget, if we get 20 Patreon subscribers, I will be pieing Andy in the face.
It's true.
It's very important to me.
Just for 1 month. Just do it for 1 month. What the heck?
All right. Thanks for listening today. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can find this episode and others like it on iTunes, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and a bunch of other places. And you can go to our website at www.snackdownpod.com. And you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/snackdown. And you can give us a call and leave us a message at 315-313-5456.
Wow, that was really off the dome and quick. It was great.
But I don't know what deli is.
All right.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Spam you later. Nice.
All right. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.
There she was, that salty girl.
We locked eyes across the table.
Her eyes were fixed because she's herring and she's dead and just left her eyes on.